First we will study the leaves, then we will draw one, then we will bend them in different ways, and finally paint the most beautiful one on silk. The most basic and simple thing we need to define before drawing leaves is, yes, proportions, which means the ratio of the width to the length of the leaf. How many times the widest part fits into the longest part. In practice, it can look like this. For example, you have a leaf, real in picture, it doesn't matter. First, you note for yourself where it has the widest part. It's not necessary to mark it with a pencil, just find this place for yourself. And then, in the same way, find the lowest and the highest points. Next, you want to measure on a pencil or on a long strip of paper or even on a ruler that width and figure out how many times it fits in the length. You can even leave marks to be sure. Well, I've had it exactly 3 times. And when I draw the center axis, I figure out at the same time what size I want my leaf to be. And let's say I decide that the width of the leaf will be about this size. And now I put that width into the height. And it doesn't fit in my drawing. Well, then I'm going to lower the bottom of the leaf. And I could probably make the leaf narrower, but I'll leave it that way for now. So the second try. 1, 2, 3, and again it doesn't fit. And there is nowhere else to go, so I'm going to make it narrower. And then the widest part should be lower. Well, it's all fit now. And I would like to note that I measured the reference leaf by holding the marker vertically, not along the central axis. So I keep holding the marker vertically in the drawing, not along the central axis. And once the proportions have been found, all that remains is to repeat the outlines of the leaf, and that's it. The second basic thing we have to decide on is the outline. Generally, almost all leaves have a central vein, which can be called an axis, and your leaf may have an outline like this, or like this, or the same but the leaf is more round. It may be made up of several leaflets, like a rowan tree, for example. Or your leaf may have not only one main axis, but 3. And then your leaf will look something like this. And there could be 5 or more axes, like a maple tree. Usually these axes are slightly curved. And leaves also have different edges. They may be smooth, or they may have sharp points, they may be round or larger. And with all these parameters in mind, let's draw a chrysanthemum leaf. The first thing we want to understand is proportions. I roughly approximated that the format A4 plus minus corresponds, but you already know how to do it more accurately. The second thing is the central major axis, but this leaf has 5 major axes, and the top 3 are kind of combined into one group. The bottom ones also have a special feature. They have additional axes. They kind of separate in 2. And if you simplify it very much, here's a schematic of it. When we have determined all the features of the leaf, we can start drawing in more detail. I start at the top and gradually move down, trying to repeat the outline of the reference. I don't have the task to draw a perfect chrysanthemum leaf. I would like it to be clear to you from which end to start drawing leaves. That is, to decide first on the basic things, proportions and main outlines, to have a very simplified vision of it. And if at the preliminary stage you manage to figure out everything correctly, then you'll be able to draw details easily and nicely. The main thing is to always move from important and general masses to small and less important ones, from the general to particular, in short. And then when you look at the details, try to notice that the axes have different slopes and heights of the tops, that these slopes are also at different levels, that each prong has a different shape from the other. And although I was a little wrong in the details, but because I got the proportions and the general outline right, the leaf looks quite convincing. And overall, I'm pretty much satisfied with the result. And now let's get to bending the leaves. I'll start with the simplest version and I'll move on to more complicated ones. Look, here's a trick. I draw a curved line and coming back I cross twice with the first line. That means my leaf will be curved twice. The only thing left now, convex parts near the point of intersection combine with the straight or almost straight line. And now you can choose which lines you want to make invisible. But if you take it more seriously, it's the best to have in front of you some kind of model of the leaf that you want to draw curved. You can make it yourself from transparent plastic. And be sure to draw the central axis. It will help you a lot. And you'll be able to give any curve to your leaf. I forgot to mark the central axis. It goes roughly like this, and it definitely touches the fold line of the leaf. This fact will help us a lot later. Let's move on. Let's say this is your leaf, and you want to bend not the whole leaf, but just this part. The fold line is somewhere around here. Look, I'm wrapping the central axis and kind of mirroring the leaf with respect to the fold line. And if you remove the unnecessary lines, it looks like this. And another option, we have a slightly different leaf, and we want to fold it here. And this is the axis here relative to which we're going to mirror. All in all, actually this method might be workable. But if we move in a more complex but qualitative way, let's make a model of a fairly simple lime leaf. We can bend it in any direction, up, down, and both up and down. And in order to keep it bent, and so it's easier to draw it, that way I just use clear T-tape. I didn't really want to stick, but eventually I managed to get it fixed. Behind the camera I twisted the curve a bit, so I want to trace the central axis first. From my angle it looks something like this. Now I'm interested in the right side of the leaf. I'm not claiming accuracy right now, I'm showing the principle. Well, it might look like this. And the left side in the beginning is quite visible to us, and then it turns quite sharply. And all we have to do is connect the places where the right and left sides are folded. And if we did everything correctly, the center axis should fall on this line. And now I'm going to show you how to draw the leaf we're going to paint, but not the whole thing, just the important and difficult points. It may look different from your perspective, but I hope that watching it happen will help you develop a better dimensional sense. And this is the section that's going to be more difficult. But still, here's the central axis, and from my side the near side of the leaf looks like this, even though you probably can't see it. And as always, we connect the lines at the fold. And the hardest part, because there are two curves. Although, if you replicate what you see carefully, you'll get it pretty good. And after you draw your transparent leaf several times from different angles, you get a feel for how it bends. You won't need to watch the central axis so carefully afterwards. But for now, it's kind of the starting point to which your spatial vision of the leaves is anchored. And here I must have missed, because the center axis didn't get on the fold line, but I will correct it, and everything will be nice and clean. And here is the leaf I'll be painting, and traditional grid drawing, just in case. And now we can start painting. I have my usual white palette, a round synthetic elastic brush, a paper towel and dyes, ultramarine, magenta and warm green, otherwise known as chrome oxide, and water, of course. And I would like to paint a color like this leaf, dark dense green with the top of the leaf, and the back is more red. And this is where I ripped off the leaf. I'm not going to show you how I mix the colors on the palette today. First of all, I almost always do. And secondly, today's topic is different. Today it might be more interesting to see how the curves on the beautiful chrysanthemum leaf can manifest themselves. In general, in painting, as always, it's important that it was pleasant to paint, pleasant to look at, that it was complex and solid in painting, and the main thing today is to highlight the bent part of the leaf. And you can do it by painting the protruding convex part quite light, and under it emphasize the shadow with a darker color to make it even stronger. Other than that, all I do is switch between hues. As you can see, you don't have to spend a ton of money on dyes of different colors. You can create quite a rich and beautiful range using just 3 or 4 colors. I know I say it in almost each of my videos, but what else I'd like to say? You know, it's always great to see your reaction to the videos. And if you'd like to continue and develop this topic or have any questions, then give me a sign in the comment section. I'll do my best to help you out. But in the meantime, enjoy the process of painting this beautiful chrysanthemum leaf.